Hey, what's up guys? It's Chris Lee back with another United Destiny Entertainment tutorial video. Hey, check this out. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell to get more videos like this in the future. Now check this out. What I'm going to be doing with this video really short and quick is I'm going to show you guys how I actually can set things, different setups up with my camera if I'm just starting my YouTube channel. Right now, I'm filming with the front facing camera on my iPhone 11. I can already see that it's a little bit noisy, pixelated, you know, things like that. So I'm not really a fan of it. But if this was all I had, then this is what I would utilize. If I wanted the quality to sound better, then I would use the actual headphones to make it sound good, which I'm doing right now. But in the process, as you can see my son, I have my son standing in front of the camera. Now check this out. We are in my studio room that I'm in the process of building, painting, getting ready, etc. But I wanted to come in here for this portion of the video because I want to show you guys, I remember telling you guys in the last video that you want to make sure that if you don't have a bunch of lights, shoot in the daytime, shoot in front of a window so you can have a light source to go ahead and light yourself if you don't have any lights, okay? Try to avoid staying away from cutting the lights on in a room because it doesn't really look good in the process. Now, me recording on this cell phone right now, it doesn't really look good either. But if I use the back end, then it will probably look a little bit better. Okay, so right now, all right, so check this out, guys. I'm still not too happy with the quality. Now I flipped the camera around. This is about, I believe it's 30 frames per second, and it's at 1080p that I'm shooting with. I didn't want to shoot in 4K or anything like that. As you can see, it's already about to get dark. So I'm shooting in front of a window, using that as my light source. Now, if my son was to do a video, if I came up to about right here, look at the camera right here. If I came up to about right here, he could talk. So pretend like you're talking. So this would be pretty good for a video if he was shooting, you know, or doing a video about anything. But it's not really ideal in my opinion. It looks great, you know, for the time being if this is all you have. But if this is what you have to work with, then go ahead and utilize this. There's nothing wrong with that. You set your iPhone up, go ahead and hit the record button and do your thing, okay? But now through the camera, through the Canon, this is what he looks like. So let me go ahead and focus right now. If you notice, it's a lot tighter. Now, I noticed that it's getting dark because right now I'm shooting at 60 frames per second and an aperture of 2.5 and then an ISO of 640. That's a little bit higher for the ISO than what I would normally want to shoot with, but it's going to work for right now. So what I want to do is let a little light in. So I'm going to change the aperture down to 1.8. Yeah, so I'm going to change it down to 1.8. That's ultimately going to make the image a lot brighter, okay? As you can see that. So if I wanted him to be a little bit tighter, let's say if I zoomed in right there on an iPhone, this is what it would look like. So look at the camera. Okay, that's what it would look like. Now, this is just using a straight camera out of the iPhone. Doesn't mean that it's ideal, but it's just something that you can get away with. Now, my personal opinion, don't move. Scoot over to the right, son. There you go. My personal opinion, if you want things to look a little bit better, then what you can do is obviously don't have white backgrounds. Because if I had him shooting on a white background right now, it probably wouldn't be interesting. So let me go ahead and show you that. So I'm just going to pick this up for a second, show you this here. And then this is what this is what it would look like, okay? If there was a white background. That to me is not very interesting, but if it's something that you needed, you can go ahead and do that because he's wearing colors and he has skin tones to separate himself. But it's not that interesting in the process, okay? So I recommend that you shoot with a colored background, something in the background like, you know, maybe a shelf with some books and an LED, anything to basically spice it up and make it look good in the process. So now, eventually, what kind of problems would you run into? It's going to get dark, right? I kind of showed you guys what it looks like just normal with, you know, natural light coming from the window. That is an option. Now, what if we wanted to spice it up a little bit more? Say if you could afford some lights if you could afford maybe just, I don't know, a LED. I'm going to show you that as well as another light source in the background to see if I can separate him from the wall. Now check this out, guys. Now what I'm going to do in the process is what happens when we start to run out of light, daylight, because that's something that's happening right now. So if you have a particular camera lens that only goes to 4.0, then you're going to have to bump the ISO up a lot in order to get some light into the room on your subject. That's not going to help out when you want your footage to look crystal clear and clean, okay? You want the ISO to be as low as possible. So now what I'm going to show you is how to create a total different look with actually closing the blinds and using a light source. So I'm going to use one LED. It doesn't have to be a fancy LED. You can go build a LED with a can light, I think for like, what? Like $8 for the can light. And then at the same time, you can go ahead and buy like a LED, a 90 CRI LED light at Home Depot for like maybe 10 or 15 bucks. Set it up any way that you want to, any light source. I'll show you another video on how to do one real cheap. And then I'm also going to show you what it's like to do a backlight to separate him from the background. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a total different look that doesn't require me to use natural light. Okay, so what I'm going to do, check this out. I'm just going to close the blinds right now. It's going to get dark in here. Okay, now look. On here, if you notice, it's pretty dark. That won't work when you're trying to do a video. You know, that's not something that's going to help you get subscribers. That won't work. So now what I'm going to do is cut on this key light from one side of his face. Now that's pretty harsh, okay? So in the process is I want to use the daylight, so I don't want to use, there's tungsten and white fluorescent. We're going to use, I'm going to bump this about halfway on a white fluorescent. And then what I'm going to do in the process, if you see what he looks like on an iPhone, go ahead and focus. He's still too blown out because I'm using the regular iPhone footage camera. So in the process, what I want to do is change some of these settings up here. So I'm going to go down on the ISO because I want my footage to be as clean as possible. And check this out to see what it's doing. So I'm going to go down to 320 on the ISO. And I'm pretty much okay with that. But I'm going to go down to 200. Let's see. Let's try to go down. No, I'm going to take it down to 1. No, I'll go to 200. I like 160, but I'll go to 200. Let me see. I changed my mind. I'll go down to 160 again. Okay, so now in the process, that's a pretty clean image. That's a pretty clean image on the Canon camera. So right now I'm at 60 frames per second. 30 frames per second. My shutter is at 60. Aperture is 1.8. And my ISO is at 160. Okay, so that looks pretty good. If he was to do a video, this will look pretty good. I would be pretty happy with that. But what if we wanted to go a step further? Now I'm going to have my son cut this light on in the back with a gel on it to light the back wall up to separate him. Now let's see what that did. Amazing. That is pretty dope right there. Go ahead and pop this up just a little bit. And if you notice what it looks like on an iPhone, it doesn't look as good as a Canon camera, of course, but that's because I'm using a regular iPhone camera. But there are softwares out there, I think like Filmic Pro. That's like a professional video software for your phone that allows you to get pretty much all the same features from your camera. If I can focus on that. There we go. All the professional features in your camera, like, the shutter, aperture, ISO, that app allows you to have more control, manual control over your iPhone, giving you more of a look like this in your iPhone. So if you want to buy that, that app is like $15, and then to unlock some more features, it's like another 15. So 30 total. I don't really use it because I don't need it, but you know, this will work. If you just set your iPhone up and you want to get creative, this is kind of what it would look like. Am I too happy with the quality? And I'm sorry that I'm shaking. I was only holding it with one hand. This would be good enough if you needed to do a video. You set this thing up, look here at the camera, and pretend like you're talking. It looks okay, but I feel like it's a little dark or too bright. So let me go ahead and zoom out real quick. This is kind of what it would look like from the iPhone. You know, and then you would just crop or fix it however you want. My bad. You do not want to shoot your videos up and down like this. That's not what you want. You turn your videos to the side. All right, so now I got to open this back up so I can get a little bit more light. Now, I'm not going to light the light on him, but I'm just doing it for the purpose of the video. So anyways, guys, that's exactly what you want to do in the process. That's going to help you get subscribers. That's going to help your videos look professional. That's going to help you do some amazing things when you start shooting videos. Remember, you do not need an expensive light. You do not need an expensive light. Go get you 2 can lights from Home Depot. You can make it look the same exact way. This is just the front-facing camera. It's okay. But if you look on here, let me see if I can focus. This is what it looks like. I personally prefer the Canon camera. But again, this video is to encourage you guys to just use your iPhone, use a webcam if you need that, and use whatever light source you got. All right, so check this out, guys. As you can see, I just moved into my son's room, his studio room. This is where his setup is. This is where he works and does everything that he needs to do in the process. If you notice, I'm recording this on my iPhone 11 right now. I'm not using any special software, just straight out of the camera in the process. If you were going to shoot your videos like this, let me zoom in. If you were going to shoot your videos like this, Ariane, look at the iPhone up here. You would pretty much just crop it or whatever the case may be. However you're going to shoot it. And then you would do your videos. But in his case, he would probably do front-facing camera. And he would probably set it up somewhere on a desk so he can see what he's doing. Now, there is a webcam up there, but we're not going to focus on a webcam right now. If you absolutely did need to use the webcam, then you will be able to use the webcam. But we're not going to focus on that right now. So in the process, if you notice in the video, he actually, let me pull it back some. If you notice in the video, let me go back to 1 and then focus again. If we wanted to spice this up a little bit, we will basically go ahead and cut a backlight on again in the process. And I'm going to show you what that's going to do here in a second. So I'm going to make sure that this light is just pointing. This light is pointing directly down to him. I could turn other lights on in here to make it more brighter, but I don't want to do that. I want to give it a cinematic look. So what I'll do in the process is I'll go ahead and change the ISO on this video. Matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll keep it at 60 for the shutter, 2.0 for the aperture, and let me see what else. 160 for the ISO. Now go ahead and cut the backlight on. Now I'm going to cut the backlight on so you guys can see what it looks like. So I have my son cut the backlight on. And this just adds some new flavor to the video. Now, if you turn your chair just a little bit, this adds a little new flavor to the video, giving it a nice warm look and a background separating him from the wall. So now when he does his videos and he's talking to his audience, it's going to look pretty professional and it's going to look really nice and clean. The ISO is pretty low, so the footage is going to be nice and clean. Now, I don't have the iPhone on the actual tripod right now. But if I did, I would just crop it so he would look right here into the iPhone and actually talk to his audience. That looks great, in my opinion. When you only have an iPhone and you don't have a professional camera, then you can get away with this. The same thing happens with the actual webcam. So if you have a webcam that's 1080p, 4K, whatever the case may be, you set it up, you set your lighting up, you get some lights going in the background, everything is going to look super professional without you spending a lot of money. Again, these lights, you can find some on Amazon, not these exact ones, but you can find some on Amazon for between $100 and $200 for some professional lights. You can use a ring light. You can use a lamp. If I had nothing else, I would have positioned the camera from a different side during the daytime and just opened that window and used it as natural light for the daytime, and then used another light in the background to separate him from the wall. That's nice looking, professional, and it's clean. I still would use the software if you want to have more control over the camera and the settings. But straight out of the iPhone 11 Pro Max, this is what you're going to get. All right, guys, thank you for tuning into the video. That's pretty much it. I hope that you guys learned something in the process. If you did, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to get more videos like this in the future. Also, I will post more tutorials to help you guys gain more subscribers, put out some professional content, and hopefully build a relationship with you guys. So I say that's it for tonight. What you say?
Yes, sir.
Peace.